They are the dark side of our favorite stories, the obstacles our heroes must overcome, and often the characters who stay with us long after the story ends. It is the villain that moves the story forward. Without a villain, nothing happens. But what makes a villain truly great and memorable? In this video, we'll explore the key attributes that elevate a villain from being just another bad guy to an iconic character. We'll look at some unforgettable examples from movies and comic books. Then we will give examples of D&D creatures that exhibit the appropriate trait. A great villain starts with a complex motivation. They aren't evil just for the sake of being evil. Take Thanos from Avengers: Infinity War. His goal is to bring balance to the universe by wiping out half of all life. It's a horrifying plan, but in his mind, it's a necessary sacrifice for the greater good. This depth makes him a compelling character, not just a monstrous tyrant. In the original comics, Thanos wanted to kill half the life in the universe because he was in love with the personification of death. In his mind, offering half the lives in the universe as a wedding gift to her was an appropriate thing to do. This is why he was called the Mad Titan. Or consider Magneto from the X-Men comics. His motivations stem from a traumatic past. He survived the Holocaust when none of his family did. His actions are driven by a desire to protect mutant kind from the same persecution he endured as a child. He was too young for his mutant ability to manifest when the Nazis took his family away. When the ability did manifest, he vowed never to allow anything like that to happen to his people, the mutants of Earth, again. Ever the one to take advantage of an opportunity, when humans started calling mutants evil just for being born mutants, Magneto decided to use the slur to his advantage. So he called his newly formed group the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants for no other purpose than to scare humans with their own biases. We may not agree with his methods, but we understand why he fights the way he does. In D&D, an example might be the Veiled Empress. The Veiled Empress is an ancient sorceress turned lich, ruling over an underground city of the undead. Once a benevolent queen who sought eternal life to protect her people, she performed forbidden rituals to achieve immortality. However, the transformation twisted her mind, and now she believes that the only way to save her kingdom from future threats is to transform every living being into an undead servant. Her motivations stem from a genuine desire to protect, making her actions tragic and her character complex. These motivations provide a sense of realism and relatability. They are things we can relate to in our own lives. They make us question our own morals, and sometimes even sympathize with the villain. This complexity can turn a standard antagonist into a character that resonates with the audience on a deeper level. Next up is charisma. A charismatic villain can be both charming and terrifying, making them unforgettable. The Joker, particularly as portrayed by Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight, is a good example. His unpredictable nature and dark sense of humor make him as captivating as he is frightening. Though the best ever Joker was voiced by Mark Hamill in Batman, the animated series. This Joker was plotting, conniving, and completely out of his mind. He charmed his psychiatrist at Arkham, Dr. Harleen Quinzel, so well that she fell in love with him, broke him out, and joined him as Harley Quinn. She called him Mr. J or Puddin', but he would have little to do with her. She had been a means to escape, and now she was disposable. Similarly, Loki from the Marvel Cinematic Universe combines wit, charm, and a deep-seated desire for acceptance and power. His charisma makes him a fan favorite, blurring the lines between villain and anti-hero. Interestingly, in the Norse myths, Loki was a trickster, but always for a reason. One time, Thor lost Mjolnir to the giant Thrym, who stole it. Thrym demanded Thor give his wife Sif to be Thrym's bride in exchange for the hammer. Loki suggested that Thor dress as Freya, goddess of love and beauty, and pretend to marry Thrym in order to get the hammer back. Thor agreed, and with Loki's help, disguised himself as Freya and headed to Jotunheim, home of the giants. Thrym is overjoyed to see Freya and offers her Mjolnir as a wedding gift, which Freya gladly accepts. As soon as Thor's hand grasped Mjolnir, the disguise, magical as it was, dropped. Thor proceeds then to kill all the giants gathered for the wedding, then heads back to Asgard. Loki, the only being to ever convince thought to dress in drag. That is charisma. A D&D example would be the Silver-Tongued Fiend. The Silver-Tongued Fiend is a devilish entity known for its eloquent speech and mesmerizing charm. Able to disguise itself as a humanoid, it infiltrates courts and noble circles, using its charisma to manipulate and corrupt. It whispers promises of power and wealth, leading even the most righteous individuals astray. The fiend's charm is so potent that even those who suspect its true nature find themselves swayed by its words, making it a dangerously persuasive adversary. Charismatic villains can draw the audience in, making us almost root for them at times. Their charm and magnetic personality make them more engaging and their actions more impactful. A great villain is always highly intelligent, capable of strategic thinking and manipulation. Stupid villains are quickly put in prison. Let's look at Hannibal Lecter from The Silence of the Lambs. His brilliance and psychological insight make him a formidable foe for Clarice Starling, creating a tense and captivating dynamic. Then there's Lex Luthor from DC Comics. His genius intellect and vast resources make him a constant threat to Superman, always staying one step ahead with his cunning plans. Originally, Lex was just an average villain who would do anything in order to make money, which sometimes caused him to cross Superman. Then DC rewrote him. The new Lex Luthor wasn't simply a rich capitalist who would do anything for money. No, this Lex would use his wealth and power to protect the Earth and humanity from alien threats, the most obvious being Kal-El. This gave Luthor the ability to create weapons against Superman that sometimes were used for Superman against bigger or more immediate threats. His intelligence made him a threat not only to Superman, but at times the entire Justice League. A D&D creature with high intelligence would be the Mind Flayer Archmage. The Mind Flayer Archmage is a master of both arcane and psionic arts, leading a cabal of lesser Mind Flayers from the depths of the Underdark. It orchestrates complex schemes to dominate surface civilizations, using its vast intellect to stay several steps ahead of any opposition. This creature's lair is filled with intricate traps and puzzles designed to test and outwit adventurers. The Mind Flayer Archmage's intelligence makes it a formidable opponent, always anticipating the moves of those who dare challenge it. Intelligent villains can keep us on the edge of our seats, wondering what their next move will be. Their ability to outthink the hero, or at least plan ahead, adds an extra layer of tension and excitement to the story. Villains with moral ambiguity operate in the grey areas of morality, making us question what we believe is right and wrong. Take Two-Face, the Batman supervillain. Harvey Dent starts as Gotham's dedicated district attorney, but after a tragic accident leaves him disfigured, he becomes a Two-Face, a villain obsessed with chance and duality. His actions are driven by a twisted sense of justice, flipping a coin to decide the fate of his victims. While his methods are extreme, his backstory and motivations evoke sympathy and make us ponder the fine line between hero and villain. Two-Face, as the district attorney, saw far too many criminals get off easy. As an officer of the law, he was hamstrung by laws and rules. When he became Two-Face, all those rules were gone. In their place was only the coin. A two-headed coin, one side perfect, the other flawed and gouged, like himself. Whenever he needed to make a decision, he flipped the coin. Whatever the coin showed, he did. That removed all responsibility from him and placed it on the coin. Even Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man starts with noble intentions. His desire to complete a groundbreaking scientific project leads him down a dark path after a tragic accident fuses his robotic manipulators to his spine. This complexity makes his character rich and relatable. A D&D example of moral ambiguity would be the Fallen Angel. The Fallen Angel was once a celestial being of great purity, tasked with guarding a sacred artifact. After witnessing countless atrocities committed by mortals, he became disillusioned with his divine mission. Now, he believes that the only way to bring peace to the world is through absolute control and order, even if it means enslaving or destroying those who resist. His actions are extreme. but his desire for a world free from suffering is a goal that many can understand, if not condone. Moral ambiguity in villains challenges us to see the world through their eyes, questioning the very nature of good and evil. It makes their conflicts with the hero more nuanced and thought-provoking. A memorable villain has a commanding presence. Darth Vader from Star Wars epitomizes this with his imposing figure, deep voice, and relentless pursuit of the Rebel Alliance. His presence alone instills fear and respect. The second you hear the respirator, you know what to expect. Even knowing who Vader used to be doesn't change the presence and authority he exudes. He is the second most feared person in the galaxy. Only the Emperor himself is more feared, but he doesn't tend to leave the capital. Vader does. Presence isn't just about physical appearance. It's about how a villain carries themselves, how they interact with others, and how their mere existence influences the story and its characters. The first time any of us saw Darth Vader, he strolled onto the deck of the Tantive 4, grabbed the captain at arm's length, and held him off the deck plates, before crushing the life out of him and throwing him against the bulkhead. Frightening. Absolutely. In D&D, we have the Dragon Overlord. The Dragon Overlord is a colossal ancient dragon that has claimed a vast kingdom as its own. Its mere presence instills fear in the hearts of all who live under its shadow. With scales as black as night and eyes that burn with an inner fire, it demands tribute and obedience from all its subjects. The Dragon Overlord's physical presence is overwhelming, and its dominion is marked by the constant dread of its sudden destructive wrath. Its lair is a fortress of terror, where every breath taken by intruders feels like their last. Finally, we have relatability. Even the most evil villains often have human traits or vulnerabilities that make them relatable. In Harry Potter, Voldemort's fear of death drives his quest for immortality. This fundamental fear is something everyone can understand, making his character more complex. In Black Panther, M'Baku starts as an antagonist, but reveals layers of honor and loyalty, showcasing that even adversaries have relatable and admirable qualities. He simply wants what is best for his people. Relatable villains remind us that they are human too, with fears, desires, and motivations that we can understand. This connection can make their stories more impactful and their downfalls more poignant. D&D has the Cursed Knight. The Cursed Knight is a once honorable warrior bound by a dark curse that forces him to commit heinous acts against his will. Desperate to find a cure, he wanders the land, seeking powerful magic and ancient relics that might break his curse. His struggle against his own nature makes him a tragic figure, and adventurers who encounter the Cursed Knight often find themselves torn between fighting him and helping to lift his curse. His plight is deeply relatable, evoking sympathy and understanding. Creating a great villain involves more than just making them evil. It's about giving them depth, charisma, intelligence, and a presence that captivates the audience. By understanding their motivations, exploring their moral complexities, and making them relatable, we can craft villains who are not only memorable but also integral to the story. So next time you're crafting a villain, remember, the more complex and nuanced they are, the more unforgettable they'll be. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and let us know in the comments, who's your favorite villain and why?